Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, welcome to my new people. So today we are, as promised, talking about the Divine Masculine. So this is going to be looking into what's happening in their life, what's kind of motivating them right now, and how they're feeling about things. So that's what we're hoping will come out in today's reading. It'll be a general reading, of course, for this collective, so it's not going to resonate with everybody. If it does resonate with you, though, you may want to subscribe. You may want to take a look at some of the other videos that have come along so far, because the messages are they're incredibly consistent. The readings are all very much connected. So you may want to see if you found something that resonates with you, what else has been said. So we're going to start out by looking at that energetic and emotional backdrop the way I like to, so that when we really start looking, and it's the emotional and energetic backdrop that's impacting everybody, but really kind of how it's reflecting for your person, because we're looking into that divine masculine perspective. And so the vast majority of you, like 99.9, would be divine feminine. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have anything to do with what gender you are. It has to do with the role that you're playing. So you have masculine and feminine energy. Everyone has masculine and feminine energy. But the divine feminine in this situation is usually the one who has continued to follow, or has been the chaser and the runner and chaser dynamic. Except that what I've noticed about this group is there's a lot of not chasing going on. Oh, we got a couple of cards here. So King of Swords in the reverse, Wheel in the upright. So this is an energy of change, but not necessarily being very aware that they don't have the whole story, and that they're not putting the whole thing together. And then we've got the Emperor coming out sideways. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the upright and just acknowledge that there are definitely some reversed aspects to this Emperor as well. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and leave it sideways to remind us. It does have a lot of reversed aspects. It also has some upright aspects. So there's a lot of capacity here, but not necessarily getting all of the pieces put together, because it's like there's definitely this sense of change happening. That's what the wheel gives us. But with the King of Swords, there's information yet that I haven't yet processed, or I haven't yet put together. With the Emperor, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna be fine with this because I feel fairly balanced to move forward. And I typically like to wrestle things like this into control anyway. So remember, this is the energy that's behind your person. So there's a lot of change in this energy, which makes it necessarily uncomfortable. But this whole thing has been just one exercise after another of getting comfortable in uncomfortable situations, both for you and your person. So with this King of Swords here in the reverse, that really, we've seen in these readings this increasing sense of awareness in this divine masculine. And so here with this King of Swords, it really does have that sense that, yeah, they know that they're missing some things. They're aware of the fact that things are changing, may not have all the details of that down. They're not necessarily able to articulate everything, but they're especially aware of that. They're aware that they're not able to articulate everything, and that they're not even necessarily able to characterize everything, but their ability to control their surroundings typically is what makes them feel fairly confident that they'll be fine in this situation as well. Which has both its balanced and its unbalanced side, because it tends to be overly controlling of their environment. This is a person who tends to be very controlling of their environment, but also it's got a nice confidence to it, and so it's not all bad. Let's see here. We've got I feel like I saw, okay, this is the top. We've got the Seven of Cups here in the reverse. We just want the top one there. And then, where is it? Three of Swords in the reverse. That Nine of Wands that came in before the Three of Swords, I think, was just an honorable mention to talk about resistance in their energy. If you've been watching for a while, then you already know it'll come back if it needs to be part of this reading. So we've got the Seven of Cups in the reverse and the Three of Swords in the reverse. So this speaks about really options they can't decipher. They can't decode these options because of this information that's missing. And there's this sense of them feeling a little bit like lighter. There's a little bit of some sort of haze or heavy thing that has lifted for them. So that is, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what's driving that, but this seems very positive. This is the sort of energy where they feel like the clouds have parted and they can have a reasonable conversation. It's the sort of energy that makes them reach out to you. But I was kind of thinking that anyway, with the King of Swords in the reverse. I'm not sure why that came through that way, but I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's reaching out energy. And then I thought, oh, but don't say that yet. You know, I mean, so anyway, I've seen it echoed a couple of times. Doesn't mean they reach out necessarily, but it does mean it's in the energy. So if they do, don't be, you know, overly surprised. You have a Seven of Swords here. It's, again, it really riffs off of this Emperor nicely. This is a matter of having that confidence, which is based in a good place. The confidence that we see in the upright portion of that Emperor is balanced and it comes from a very self-trusting sort of place. It's not lying to themselves, being able to tell themselves the truth. And yet there's also an element that is, I trust myself because I trust myself to basically manipulate the situation into being what I need it to be. That's kind of what happens when you add in this Justice card. Has the element of things not necessarily always being right. And what it feels like, though, is not just that sense of things not always being right, but the sense of it weighing on them. They realize that for some reason more now than they have historically. I'm not sure why it comes out for them so much now. Let's see what else comes out for you. Okay, so we've got the King of Cups. This is about emotional availability and vulnerability, and so that is what their lesson is about. That feeling of the Three of Swords in the reverse has this element to it as well. And this Three of Wands kind of fits in here nicely. The King of Cups gives us the sense of vulnerability and the sense that they are having a moment of clarity where they are starting to be able to feel like they still know that they can't truly articulate what's going on in them, but they also are able to see that there's enough change here. They're starting to be able to get to grasp the nature of the change. And this Three of Wands suggests that they've already set something into motion that helps to turn them into the person they're going to become. This is really interesting energy because, you know, we're looking to see what's happening with them. And it's almost like one of those really just incurably beautiful days that happens in super late fall or super early spring where it is just unbelievably gorgeous outside. It's got that kind of energy to that. I mean, as if they're coming out of a depression and coming into something that is incredibly positive. And yet there's also, with this Nine of Cups in the reverse here, and the Ace of Wands in the reverse, there's a sense that it continues to loom over them. The fact that something in their life is really not the way that they wish that it was. They wish that their wish fulfillment would be something very different. Okay, so if they had it all to right, the decorating in their house might be different. You know, the people in their house might be different. There's a lot of things going on here. They might have made different decisions around different family members earlier on. There's a strong vibe of that. But there's an immediate family element of this Nine of Cups too. Something about their current situation is making them particularly unhappy. And with this Ace of Wands, this is kind of a sense of, it's almost like the Devil card in the upright. There's a strong devil energy to it. And what I mean by that is it's the sense of something kind of controlling them, taking them. It's a little bit of an addiction sort of energy. It doesn't have to be an actual addiction, but it could be obsessive. It could be obsessive thinking. Doesn't have to be a substance. Could also be a substance. Could absolutely be, here's a person that drinks too much and they drown themselves in it. It does have a sense of drowning themselves in something. Doesn't necessarily, again, have to be alcohol or anything specific like that. It could be fantasy. We've absolutely seen a heavy element, to their detriment, heavy element of fantasy and dreams that have happened here that make them in their waking times not always even understand what's real and what's not. And they start to question themselves a little bit and start to realize that some of that distance that they've created in there creates a problem for their perceptions, but also creates a little bit of more, it adds to the fear of them coming back and having communications, because they could make references that then they find out are not really part of the picture. And for some reason that really bothers them, and wants to come out in this message. So I'm not sure if it bothers like their idea of what has happened, or if they just aren't sure how they're going to handle it. So let's look a little bit more into the energy around this divine masculine. We've seen kind of what the energy is that they're in, the energy that they're swimming in. Let's look now to see kind of what we need to know about them. So it's how they're feeling, what's happening in their lives. We know that they are awakening to not necessarily being especially happy with something that's happening in their immediate environment. And I'm dropping cards. Let's see here. I got the Seven of Wands in the reverse that's come out here, and it wants to be part of the reading. So that one is a little bit concerning because that feels like hesitation energy. It's the Seven of Wands in the upright talks about a confidence and a ready to fight for something sometimes. That's the element of it that I'm feeling the opposite of in the reverse right now. Because sometimes, and I was talking about this the other day, but I can't remember if it was in an extended or not. People ask about how I read cards, and what I will tell you is that everyone's a little bit different. For example, with reversals, some people don't read reversals at all. Some people read them as the opposite of the meaning of the upright card. And other people assign them whatever, sometimes the deck will come with information, or sometimes it just comes popping off the card. But the reverse has sometimes its own set of definitions. And so I am someone who sees both the potential for both the upright in reverse, like the upright opposite of the upright meaning, like what I'm seeing here, or sometimes a different meaning entirely. So it kind of just depends on the situation, and it depends on the reader. But if I know that's very unclear, but it's just it's a question that I've gotten. And so I thought I would kind of expand on it. And I thought that the question actually got answered in potentially an extended, and that's very few people. Very few people see the extended compared to how many people see the YouTube. So I thought I would put it here too. Okay. Let's see. So we have the Wanderer in the reverse. This is like the Fool card. Okay, so there's an interesting, I've got some interesting examples of how reversals can be read here. If you're going to read reversals, which I do, like I said, the Seven of Wands feels like the opposite of the way it would come through in the upright, where there's a confidence and a readiness to take things on. This is a feeling of not being ready to take things on. And with this Queen of Swords, it is yet the decision. This is someone who wants to move quickly and make decisions quickly because they don't want to spend a lot of time on this battlefield or in this situation, because they're not having high hopes about their ability to be successful anyway. And in fact, they have a tendency to want to back off of the situation entirely. Now, sometimes the Wanderer is the equivalent of the Fool card in the traditional tarot. And the Fool is all about jumping into brand new energy, all about trying something that is new, all about jumping with, a leap of faith, right? And so it's not necessarily about feeling foolish. So here in the reverse, I'm getting a little bit of not necessarily ready to take that leap of faith, which I think is implied by some of the rest of this sort of hesitant energy. And then the other thing that I'm really getting here is they do feel a little foolish. They do feel a little anxious about everything that's come before. So the more they think about it, and the more they, in some cases, don't know if their memories are accurate and recognize that they may not be, the more they go through that, the more anxiety sort of rises for them, and the more they start to feel foolish in this energy. But they want to be rid of it. They want to be over it, but they're not feeling very confident. They're not feeling like they're ready to win, ready to go fight for something and feeling fresh, you know. Um, so this is somebody who's feeling kind of hesitant to, at best, to begin with, and afraid to move forward. Somebody who feels like their energy has been a little bit spent. With the King of Wands, they feel cut off, like their ability to have power has been cut off. Something's been threatened to them, that if they move forward in something that they've expressed passion about, or there is suspected passion about. So it could just be that, and I know it's you in some cases, there's a sense of them having been found out, or they found somebody that is important to them has realized that there is some sort of competitive energy that comes for, even if it does not truly constitute competition, in their mind somehow it does. And so that's something that they are very much coming back at your person about, and it's creating a sense of threat. Again, we feel that sense of threat and that sense of gridlock and not being able to move forward. With the Knight of Cups, this is a feeling of a need to stay silent, not just because of how the threat feels, but also because of how silly and foolish they feel. We've got this King of Swords again that says, even in this moment of clarity, they are very aware that they're not taking everything into consideration. And to a certain degree, they don't feel like they can see everything that they need to see, because they haven't done what they've needed to do. We've got the Seven of Pentacles here talking about investments that they haven't made, that they feel like they really should have made by now, is the wording that wants to come through for that. So we've got the Four of Swords. They're saying, I've healed quite a bit, but am I just kind of, they don't feel like they have the full picture of the healing that they've done. And part of this is because they're still very much in healing mode. Not that the information, here we've got the Ace of Swords in the reverse, not that the information hasn't been given to them, but they haven't assimilated it, which is what we see reflected again and again here with this King of Swords in the reverse, King of Swords in the reverse. This is not, I don't have the information or I don't understand the information, so much as I haven't assimilated this information into my worldview and into the way that I make decisions and think about how I'm going to move throughout my day. So there's a lot of hesitation once again coming through in that, because there's hesitation and avoidance. Hesitation and avoidance born of fear and feeling like they're going to look silly. So there's two things that came out here. Two piles right on top of each other. We'll see how much each one gets used. We've got the Hanged Man and the Knight of Wands definitely coming out with the, oh, that's it. And with that one. So the Hanged Man talks about not having the information once again. But this time it's not like facts that are missing or truths that haven't been brought into consideration, that they have been shown maybe. This is a perspective that hasn't been developed, and this is why some of these truths haven't been assimilated. It's because of this this is essentially a lack of maturity, not necessarily a bad thing. Lack of maturity is not, it really talks about great opportunity. But we've got this Knight of Wands, and unfortunately what it ends up meaning is they are in and out. They're in and out. They feel silly. They feel like coming toward you is going to make them feel even sillier. In fact, we've got the Fool again sitting here in the reverse, and the Queen of Cups. They're not just afraid to move forward because they think they might look silly. It is triggering them again, but in a whole new way. So this isn't like when you had your soul recognition and you came together and everything was really amazing. You know, there was that point before you got triggered that they wish they could bring you back to, but since they can't, it's like it's growing and constantly compounding how silly they feel the farther away they get from the triggering that they experienced. It's actually triggering them in a whole new way, even just considering moving back your direction, which they may not be able to avoid doing. This is how you end up with moment of clarity equals drunk text. You've got somebody here is drinking too much. Not everybody, but somebody's drinking too much, getting that moment of clarity, drunk texting, and then bailing back out again because they got this Knight of Wands vibe, the in and out vibe, because they feel foolish, but unfortunately it just continues to erode at what they need to be able to build. But this Queen of Cups speaks directly to the reason that they're doing it and kind of even how they're doing it. So they're eroding their ability to even solve this problem for themselves, because the sillier they feel, the more foolish they feel, the less likely they are to come in without with decent communication that is consistent and that is healed. At this point, they can't even really back up and get a bird's eye view of what their healing looks like because of the perspective that they lack. So they feel like they're flying blind a little bit. And if you get the communication from them, realize that it's got the potential to be very brief. What I don't see coming out here is that emotional side. We're going to dig into their emotions, how they're feeling when we get into the extended, how they're feeling about this, because there's this strong sense of them being very aware of what is or isn't happening. So they don't know what they don't know, but they are aware that there are pieces they haven't put in place yet. Both things they have been exposed to and things they haven't been, but either way, they feel silly, and that's louder than everything. Anyway, we're going to look a little bit more into the emotions when we get into the extended. For now, let's get into what this means for you. And so, already we've got the Three of Swords. Okay, so this is really, I want this to be where you're focusing, you know. You're focusing on, there's some kind of growth happening for you or that has already been in play. You're doing something. This is a fabulous energy that once again, so we got to have this one and we got to, what is that? The Wise One in the reverse. So there's some kind of advice out here for you that I'm not going to say you're ignoring it, but you could avail yourself of it better. That's the only real downside in this energy that I'm seeing right now. Otherwise, it's rife with opportunity and springtime coming up around you. And so I know not everyone here is in the Southern Hemisphere. Like, the vast majority of us, if my YouTube numbers are accurate, if my analytics are accurate, are in fact in the Northern Hemisphere, where we're in later fall. So a lot of leaves falling off of trees, a lot of things going to sleep for the winter, you know. And this is still a springtime kind of feeling. And this is very strong throughout this collective. It's a feeling of, we've talked about your flame growing. Your flame is growing. We keep hearing that. So I wonder if maybe that's something we look at and we get into this extended as well, what that means and how better for you to focus on it, because it looks like this is the land of opportunity for you, but it's not necessarily the most obvious opportunity. It's like you just decide to try something and it's an opportunity that turns out you like just reached up and grabbed it while it was going by. But there is more for you to get from this. The Wise One in reverse says, and the Three of Swords in the reverse is beautiful, because basically that is you working, it's climbing out of difficulty toward your healing. But there is somebody here that could be giving you this Wise One, somebody that could be giving you even more help. And I feel like they're giving it to you, and you need to spend more time with what you've been given. Focus a little bit more on the energy of improving yourself and moving toward this opportunity. There's something about that in there. So you've got this Three of Pentacles coming up that says something's not going to work out. And it's like when you miss the train, just walk away. There's something that isn't supposed to happen. It's not getting in an accident or some sort of life-threatening thing. It's just walk away, walk toward the object of your fear. There's something that you're going to be, maybe you were walking away from that. Maybe you were running away from that at the time that you missed the train, and you have to turn around now and say, all right, you know what? This was about a conversation I didn't want to have. Let's do this, and that's the kind of, I mean, it's just an example, but it's that sort of thing. And as soon as you miss the train, whatever your proverbial missing the train is, or in some cases, maybe somebody misses a literal train. I love how I put out these proverbial ideas sometimes in these readings, and then you guys email me, which, by the way, my email is down below. My Etsy information is down below, because sometimes I get questions about that, and I just want to make sure you guys know if there's ever an extended, like there will be an extended to today's reading. So you'll see the link to the extended down there. If you go down to the description for the video, you'll always see my email, my social media links, and then you'll also see the Etsy link if you're looking for a personal reading. But okay, you guys, I feel like we just need to, I'm just going to keep going. So that you've also got the 10 of Cups. All right. So you have, maybe there is something that has, for some of you, there is quite literally this opportunity that I'm talking about where you end up missing a train, which, by the way, use those links and get in touch with me if somebody misses a train and you have to turn around and face something that you're afraid of, because it's the land of opportunity. Basically, there's something about that that creates this opportunity. And there's something here that has, this is something, a place where you are being tested and you have the option to fail. It's the 10 of Cups in reverse. Basically, you're being given a key to something that could make you incredibly happy, but you may choose not to take it. It all has to do with whether or not you choose to take it. You might not be feeling super strong on the day that you get it, but I don't get a sense, or when you have the opportunity, but I don't get the sense that you are too afraid or too weak to take it. I feel like it's not so much weakness. It's more a matter of allowing your fears to play out, or allowing them to be stronger in your decisions, or to weigh more heavily in your decisions. You have the option to shut that down and say, I recognize what's happening. And this card basically reinforces that. We've got the Magician here. I love how when I'm saying things and I'm kind of, the card is sitting there. Like, you guys can probably see it. And I just want you to know, sometimes I'm looking at it and sometimes I haven't looked at it yet. And so I'm sitting here going on, and then I'm like, oh yeah, what this card says. So basically that's this. This is their ability, this is your ability, sorry, to override what the fear that comes up in you that says, no, I'm just going to not take this opportunity. Something just flipped over very gracefully here. What was that? So we have the 6 of Swords in reverse. Things are going to seem a little nonstop for you. Okay, things are going to seem a little nonstop for you, but it feels like the way this card fell, and this is really interesting, is it fell and it kind of was touching your person's energy. It's like part of it isn't so much that your life is being overwhelming as it is that for some reason, you can't shake that overwhelm energy, even though you look at it and you're like, this day is not as busy as all that. I mean, it's busy, but it's not insane, and I'm just feeling really busy. 8 of Swords in the reverse. Yes, I love this. I'm going to put this right over here by this Magician card, because this is basically hanging right off of this Magician energy. This is the ability to shut down the fear. This is the ability to shut down the overthinking and to be able to say, you know what, this day isn't as overwhelming as I'm making it out to be. And if you're maybe picking up on a little bit of your person's energy over here, it's okay. They're using you to lean on. We know that. We see that in the readings all the time. They're using you to lean on, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem. So we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is an incredibly reassuring energy. And with that, I'm being asked to stop drawing cards. It's an incredibly reassuring energy, the Knight of Pentacles, because it's kind of that slow, steady, but incredibly dependable, the one that's going to meet the finish line successfully sort of energy. And this is you. So I think what we're going to do is and when we get into the extended, we're going to definitely look a little bit more into the emotions that your person is feeling right now around you and around your situation. We're also going to look a little bit more into this opportunity here for you and what you might be missing with it. This feels like a pretty good inflection point here, especially because it's like you have an opportunity that comes to you here and you may choose not to take it, thereby creating a longer path for yourself. But you absolutely have the ability to see when you're doing that and decide to make a different choice. So maybe let's look a little bit more into that, what's coming your way. And that's what we'll do when we get into the extended. You can hit that link that you see down in the extended, and we'll see, or I'm sorry, in the description down below, and I'll see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you again in tomorrow's reading.